I apologize. Oh, now we're going. Okay. It works, kinda. It's not going to be good audio today, but it'll be audio nonetheless. Because I want you guys to, at the very least, have the live stream that's at least some audio that's accompanied with a live stream. So when you watch this, it's going to be weird, funky audio, and I apologize for that. I will resolve this by the next time we see each other. Actually, I need to resolve this by Tuesday because I'm live streaming my GCOM 402 class, so it will get fixed. So here's what we're going to do today, and this is pretty exciting because today we're going to really focus all of our energy on some new technology that's been brought onto our campus, and you're going to love it. It's going to completely change the way you guys do textures, okay? Starting today, today and then a couple of times periodically throughout the semester, we're going to be looking very closely at Substance Painter. Now, Kevin, I need you to stop you in your tracks because Substance Painter is going to completely remove the process that Kevin is using to make his textures. And that is doing what, Kevin? What app are you currently in? Photoshop. Gone are the Photoshop days of creating textures.
It's going to be easier now?
It's going to be way easier.
Less tedious?
Less tedious, and your results are going to spike.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. Let me show you a little bit of what I'm talking about, okay? Because Substance Painter is, well, let's just put it this way. Substance Painter is exactly what you want this to be, the texturing pipeline. The guys and gals down at Algorithmic have done a fantastic job of really understanding the texturing pipeline and have given us a tool and a series of tools that do an excellent, and I mean an excellent, excellent job of getting us to where we need to be. This is kind of like the pantheon for us in the 3D world because we can finally, and I mean finally, paint on the model. It's difficult to really get a good understanding of the effects of your texture map when it's in Photoshop, right? When it's flat on just a piece of paper. We want to be able to see, as we're creating the texture, what it looks like on the model. And that's exactly what Substance Painter allows us to do. Now, Substance Painter is an application that's designed by a company called Algorithmic. It takes you 3 or 4 tries to get it right. It is a mouthful. I'm not even going to attempt to spell it, and this is literally how I find their website because it's a very long word. I just do a Google search for Substance Painter. There it is. Substance Painter by Algorithmic. And it's pretty fantastic. Okay? Substance Painter has taken over the entire rendering environment like a game engine, but it is also used very directly in high-end feature films and television shows. Okay? Because that's how awesome and easy and powerful their tool set really is. If you want, I would encourage you guys to really drive into their website pretty directly. There's some phenomenal tools and some tutorials and resources that you can have access to inside of their website. We're not going to go through all of it today, but if you go into the Substance Painter landing page here, you'll see some pretty great examples of what this application is all about. Oh, I'm already there. I think some of you guys have seen this video before. So this app is all about texture painting. It's a one-trick pony. It's so that we don't do modeling in Substance Painter. We import our models from any number of different locations, okay? And then we paint textures on top of them, okay? Now the one caveat with the models that are coming into Substance Painter, as one might imagine, is UV maps. Gotta have it, okay? So this isn't a replacement for the UV map pipeline that we've seen in other capacities. It's a tremendous amount of fun, okay? Because once you have the UV map, you can start painting on the model pretty quickly. Now the assets that we're going to be working on and the stuff that I've supplied you with today already come with UV maps already created. So it's not something that you're going to have to worry about for this assignment, okay? But if you really want to get into this, you know, definitely look to take GCOM 424 next semester. That's going to have a major, the Substance Painter is going to be at the core of GCOM 424 next semester. Okay? What class is 424? The game art class. The game art class. If you've already taken it, I would sign your petition to retake it again, just to get the information from Substance Painter. That's how important this application is becoming. Yeah?
Even if you're free time pass?
I'm sorry, say again?
Even if you're already tried the class 3 times?
That's a unique exception. We should talk about that individually.
Retake which class again?
GCOM 424, the game art class.
Oh,
yeah.
I have not taken that.
Well, good. Yeah. So please enroll.
Well,
Substance
I
Painter.
need to get my second certificate.
There you go. Good. Good. All right, so let's jump in and start playing around with Substance Painter a little bit. I'm going to turn off the lights a little bit easier to see the screen. You're going to see that in the Substance world, their interfaces are very dark. Why do you think they do this?
You can see color better.
Exactly. So you're not distracted by the color of the interface, right? Christine, you got a question?
Because white is super harsh on the eyes.
It is. Yeah, super harsh. Okay, so we have a license for Substance across the entire campus. Here it is right there, down in your dock, okay? Now, please note, in the Substance world, there's actually 3 different apps that we have currently installed in here and in the design lab. Of course, there's Substance Painter, but then there's also an app called Substance Designer, which is really cool, but it's complex, okay? Think nodal texturing, okay? It's awesome. And this one's neat. This is bitmap to material, okay? If you've taken the game art class or know something about tiling textures, bitmap to material is going to be a fantastic tool for you to incorporate into your day-to-day life. Bitmap to material allows you to go out and like take a picture of this carpet, for example. And then it will automatically create a tiling texture for you, and then kick out a normal map, an AO map, a displacement map, a spec map. It's pretty cool. It's a great. I even think in the most recent version of the app, it actually creates something called the Substance 40 automatically with all those documents internally linked. Yeah.
How much software costs?
It's relatively inexpensive. I want to put inexpensive in finger quotes, okay? When you compare it to the other apps inside the 3D world. What's awesome for you guys is that you can apply for a free student license. Okay?
What?
I know. It's good. There's no reason to not do this, okay? It's free and it's awesome and it's used every single, in every single game studio in the world. Yeah.
It's $299 for the pack.
For the pack. And there's also an indie pack too, which may be a little bit less expensive. That is the indie pack. Okay, great. I want to say it's like $5.99 or $6.99 for the full thing. So it's not astronomically priced, and for students it's free.
I was going to say, last year, Black Friday, I got that $30 pack for $150. So
Yeah.
wait for Black Friday sale.
They do, and Algorithmic does some pretty phenomenal sales at a couple places during the year. So Black Friday sounds like it's one. Game Developers Conference this past year in March, they had another fantastic sale where it's like half off of everything in their store. It's good stuff. They're doing it right, in my opinion, when it comes to the pricing. Okay. Which is probably one of the reasons why they've become so popular recently. All right, let's go ahead and launch Substance Painter, and we'll start taking a look pretty directly at what this world looks like. Admittedly, this is a different beast. Okay, it's a different beast. Didn't shut down correctly. I don't care if it didn't shut down correctly. I don't want to do a bug report. Okay, so my screen got a little turned around here, but welcome to Substance Painter, okay? Substance Painter, as I mentioned before, is a exclusive one-trick pony. It is all about importing a model or opening a model file and then painting on top of it, okay? So let's start off by actually doing some painting, okay? By bringing in a model file and looking at how this works, okay? So if you go to the very tippy top of the screen, where it says plugins, where is it? Oh, it's open sample. I apologize, under the file pull-down menu. Let's do this. This is going to be fun. Let's do Meet Matt. Okay, this is a Substance Painter project file. It's basically a model that's not been painted on, and it's a cool little character guy. He's pretty cute, right? And there he is. Okay, there he is. So let's just talk about the interface now that we have something in here that we can play with, because there's some major parts of the workflow that are directly tied to the interface. Like a lot of apps out there, it's a plastic interface in that we can move things around and change it and make it behave the way we want it to behave. Like for example, maybe I want my shelf, this part down here at the bottom of my screen, to be a little bit smaller. And as one might imagine, if you just put your cursor in between the boundaries, you can make it smaller, which will give you a larger area up here at the top. Okay? Since we're talking about the top, the viewer, and FYI, you can put your cursor on the boundaries of any of these windows, by the way, and resize them to your heart's content. Let's talk about the top, the viewer, because this is where we're going to be doing the lion's share of our work here. Now, in the default view, what are we seeing here? What are we seeing in that top view? Most people have two different panels, okay? You see what on the left? The model, okay, Matt. And the level you're referring to him. And what's on the right?
The left.
Yeah, no, that's the UV map.
Where did you find Matt again?
Yeah, so if you go to the File pull-down menu, it's under Open Samples.
So when I open my Substance Designer, the file is
Well, are you in Painter or in Designer?
Substance Designer.
Yeah, we want to be in Painter.
Yeah, I am here.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, the top bar is missing. I don't know why.
Oh,
You might have it
it's
full screen,
very
just
good.
like hover your mouse to the top and it'll pull up.
Select the top of the
Oh, okay.
screen.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
That's my exclusive reason for not going into full screen mode, because I hate that.
I was trying to figure out where it was.
That top bar disappears. Okay, so what we're seeing inside of the screen here, of course, we have our model, Matt, at the moment. And then over here, we're seeing the UVs that are being flooded with a basic material. So we have to have UV maps for all of this. And for those of you that haven't taken GCOM 424, let's get everyone up to speed. What is a UV map, for those that are in the know? What is a UV map and its grand function inside of 3D graphics?
Contains and dictates textures.
Yeah, controls textures, dictates textures, absolutely. It's 100% linked to the texturing process. Think of it like this. It's the pattern of a dress, okay? Now, we in the 3D industry, we kind of work in reverse, okay? If you compare our workflow to that of, like, you know, some sort of garment manufacturer, right? If I was making this shirt, I would start with a two-dimensional piece of fabric, right? And then I cut very carefully that two-dimensional piece of fabric to make, you know, panels, and then I'd sew all those panels together to create a 3D volume, if you will, a 3D object when someone's inside of it, right? Now we're doing fundamentally the exact same thing, yet in reverse. We start with our 3D object, and then we have to cut each surface so that it lies flat on a desk. Once that surface is flat, we can paint on it, okay? We can paint with accuracy because once it lies flat, the computer understands how to wrap it back up into that 3D volume so that if I were to paint like an eyeball in the front of Matt here on the right, it would show up in its correct place on the left. Okay? It's a really great workflow. The process of creating some UV maps is a pain, but it's worth it. Okay? Because now we get to do fun, cool things like this. Okay? Excuse me. All right, so we have our interactive viewport over here on the left. Let's talk about how we can start to navigate this thing, okay? You're going to find the controls very, very easy to use. If you hold down the Option button or the Alt key on your keyboard, and then left mouse button drag, you can see the result that we're getting here. Middle mouse button with the Option key is going to allow you to do the pan, and then as one might imagine, Option right mouse button is going to allow you to zoom in and zoom out. Okay? So it's all with the Option key. You can explore your model and tumble around inside of our 3D view, which is pretty fun. Okay? All right. Now, at times, we're going to want to work with our UV map, or at least be able to see it, and you'll see why here in a minute. But most of the time, we just kind of want it out of the way. It's nice that it's there, but we don't need to see it all the time. Let me introduce you to F1, F2, and F3. Go ahead and explore what those do. Oh, I'm sorry, is it F1? Oh, if you guys, it is F1, but if it's like making your brightness go up and down.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate this about the Mac OS. It's one of the few things that I absolutely hate about the Mac OS.
Hold the FN button.
Yeah, you can hold down the function button, okay? Do you have a question?
Yes. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. What's up?
Apparently, I was supposed to be aligned in this classroom.
Well, you haven't met the prereqs for this class?
Well, I've been talking with my counselor to get into this classroom.
Okay. Well, go tell your counselor that you haven't met the prereqs for this class.
PreReqs?
The PreReqs, which is GCOM 401 or GCOM 402.
I'm currently taking.
We had to have completed it,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right? Okay. So we'll see you in class on, what, Wednesday? Yeah. All right. Rock and roll. Okay.
Where's the?
Okay. So, yeah. So this is the silly thing about the Macintosh, right? Because they have, yeah, it really frustrates me because they don't consider that there are professional users out there that actually use the function keys at the top of the keyboard. They think everyone's like a web designer or just like checking email. You know, for 95% of people, those function keys are not used. But for us, they're pretty important. So if you want the function key, which will restore the F1, 2, and that entire row to its functionality, is found above the arrows. Okay? Above the arrows. Next to delete. Yeah. It's there. Or here's what I'm going to do, because that's just a big ball of, well, that's not what I want to do. Let's put it that way. Okay? I'm going to go into my Mac system preferences. And I'm going to go into the keyboard preference pane right here. And I would encourage you to do this. Okay? And use F1, 2, etc. keys as their standard function keys, which is what we want to use. Okay? With that on. Now, the F1, 2, and 3 keys will change that central viewer. The F1 key will split it, so you can see your model and your texture, your UV map. The F2 will just be your model, and F3 is just your UVs, okay, or your texture. So I usually have my model like this, because the whole idea behind working in Substance Painter is that we paint on the model, not on a flat texture. Now, from time to time, seeing that flat texture is going to be important. It's, I think, a critical part of our masking workflow. But let's have some fun. Let's get in here and start painting. That's what we're all here all about, right? We want to do some painting on our friend Matt here. Now, Substance Painter and this substance workflow can get deep pretty quickly, okay? But we're going to keep it basic for today, and then throughout the semester, we'll sprinkle in some new awesome substance stuff as we go. But let's just go in real fast and start looking at how we can paint on the model, okay? Like Photoshop, over here, we have a couple areas that we need to focus on. First, and this is going to seem weird, okay? Let's talk about the texture set list, okay? These are different parts of the model that were separated by either a material or a different UV map over in the app that created this object. These texture sets, as you can see, there's head, body, and base, are great ways for us to filter. We only assign certain texture information to certain areas of the mesh, okay? Let's see this in practice here, because check it out. I can select the body, and now I'm just seeing in my layers palette the information that's influencing that. Yeah, Alan, go ahead.
So when we import an object from Modo, if we break it down in Modo and bring it into here, we have the same categories?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go into in Modo on your model, if you assign a whole series of polygons with a material, that material will be its own texture set. Now there's some caveats to that, okay? Because when we export textures from Modo, or from Substance Painter to go back into Modo, the number of texture sets in this list is going to represent the number of textures that are exported from the app, okay? We have to manage this, because right now, if I was to export the textures from Substance Painter for Matt here, I would produce 3 different texture sets, okay? It's a great way to filter, but there are other ways that we can filter too. One of the cool things about Substance Painter is its masking system. It's incredibly powerful, okay? Well, let's go in and have some fun and start understanding the role of these texture sets, okay? All right, because right now, in each of our texture sets, okay, there we go, it's empty. You can see what it looks like over here on good old Matt, right? Well, let's go in and start doing some work, okay? There are 2 types of layers that we're going to talk about today. A fill layer and then a paint layer. It's important to understand and realize the difference between the 2. A fill layer operates just like it does over in Photoshop. It's going to flood the entire texture set with color or texture information. Let's just do it real fast so we have a good understanding of what this looks like. Okay. So I'm gonna pick. Let's do the. I don't know. We'll do the body. Okay. We'll do the body, and then over here inside of our layers palette, up at the top. And if I was to fault the guys and gals down at algorithmic with one thing, these icons are just like wicked small, right? They're just really, really tiny. But what we're going for here is this guy, a fill layer. And right next to it, it's his friend. Oh, that's material. Where's paint layer? I passed it already. Yeah, that's a paint layer. That's a fill layer. Fill layers are going to flood the entire region with a substance or a color. So let's do it real fast. Let's add a fill layer. Okay, now this is on the body. It shouldn't look too different because we haven't gone in and really changed the parameters yet. Okay, the parameters are going to be found in this bottom right-hand corner. Okay, see where it says base color, or it says material. I apologize. This is the properties of the contents of our fill layer. So let's just change it real fast. I'm going to click on this color bar. That's what this thing is right here. To open up my color picker.
What if you don't have the settings in the corner?
What?
What if you don't have the settings in the corner?
What if you don't have the settings in the corner? Ah, okay. Let's do this. So Alan's missing his properties panel. And I think there's a way. Is it under, yeah, it's under the views section. Properties. I think this is what you're after, Alan. Does that pop it up into its own floating window?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want, you can take that window and then drag and drop it over into that area and kind of dock that panel down there, but now it should be back. Okay. Cool, huh? So everyone just stay with me. I'm seeing a whole bunch of colored bodies, which is pretty cool. Now, what's neat about working this out of Substance Painter is that this is more than just color. On one fill layer, we're going to influence a number of different things, okay? Including how metallic our object is, right? And that's the function of this slider right here. How would you describe, over in Modo, for example, or other 3D apps, what is that metallic slider really affecting?
The reflective nature.
Yeah, you got it. So the metallic slider is going to make it more or less reflective. Pump this up a little bit. See what you get. Yeah. If you go really far with it, chrome guy, right? Or red chrome. Okay. Which is pretty neat. In addition, if we go down one more, so we have color, the reflective qualities of that material, roughness. Now this is where the train derails for a lot of folks. Okay? But over Modo, we see this parameter often. What is the roughness of the material? What happens when you change that slider? Go ahead and explore it and see what happens. Yeah, and it's blurring the reflections or making them nice and crisp. Okay? So there it is with my roughness down. And now, if you look very closely, you can see all the details of the reflection map inside of matte, which is crazy. Okay? If we increase the roughness, those are blurred quite significantly. Okay? So we're painting with more than just color here. We're actually painting and applying physical properties to our texture set that are going to be translated into a texture map that will apply back over in Modo. It's pretty rad. It's very cool. And we've only scratched the surface of this back. Okay. All right. So I think I'm going to hang out with my bright red body for a bit. But now let's travel over to, shoot, let's do this. Let's do the exact same thing, but we're going to go in the head now. We're going to get a little bit more complex. Okay. Let's do this. All right. So I'm going to go to my head texture set. And now we're going to start looking at how we can use, because this is a little bit more complex of a shape. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, what I want to have the head look like. Maybe I want to have this back dome over here be one thing, this front chrome bit be another, and this inside be a third. So I want 3 different things in here influencing the head. Okay, and then maybe I want to go in and paint like a smiley face on the flat section. Okay, let's continue working with fill layers for the moment, and then we'll explore the awesomeness of the paint layer when we do the smiley face on the inside. Okay? So let's add a fill layer, and this is where it gets into a whole lot of fun. Okay? Now, we could, if we wanted to, or pop quiz, which of these icons over here is going to create the fill layer? Yeah, the bucket, the paint bucket. And I'm so happy that they've recycled a common UI that we've seen in other apps like Photoshop. Okay? So let's do the paint bucket. So it's going to create a fill layer. And if we were to just go in and simply give it a fun color, I don't know what this is going to be. Maybe we'll make it a lovely shade of blue. That's kind of purple. I want to make, this is going to be my America mat. America! Okay. Then I'll make it shiny, more reflective by increasing the metallic. And maybe I'll decrease the roughness just to make it a little different from what we have downstairs. Okay. Cool, huh? Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just curious on what exactly am I
That's the
seeing?
reflection map. That's the reflection map. Because remember, this is kind of like Moto in the sense. Now, what Mike is running into is that he's looking at the front face of his object, and you can even see it in the side of mine. I know what the, maybe we should close some of these blinds. Do you guys mind closing the blinds a little bit?
It's reflecting though, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's reflecting an image map. Just like it does over in Moto, right? Because this image, you're not seeing it at the moment, but this model is sitting on the inside of the sphere that has a reflection map, you know, pasted into the interior of it, right? It's pretty cool. All right, so this is looking pretty awesome so far, but we have a little bit of a problem here. In that, I want to start modulating and changing the fills as we go from the back of the head all the way to the front of the head. Okay? So now we need to start doing some masking. Okay? And it's really kind of fun and very, very easy inside of Substance Painter. And this is one of the things that I was like, are you kidding me? When I started looking at this. I mean, this is, you know how hard it is to mask things over in Photoshop? It's not the way it is here in Substance Painter, and it's pretty fantastic. Let's take a look at it. So, big picture idea. Let's remember the goal. I want the back of the head to be blue, and then maybe I want to have, oh, I don't know, like this part of the model, this ring in here, be like maybe like a fun chrome or something. Okay? Let's do that first. Let's make the chrome, and then we'll mask it. Okay? So I need to have another fill layer. Paint bucket. And let's just name this one. Just double click. We'll call this chrome. And notice that the entirety of the thing goes white, which makes sense, right? Because it's just like Photoshop. Whatever is on top is going to block out what's below it, right? We haven't done any masking yet, so everything's getting occluded. And let's see, chrome is very metallic. Very metallic, not smooth in its reflections. Let's change the color. Let's make it, well, any number of colors. I think I'm just going to make it white. Okay? Just so we have something that's very clean and different from the rest. Okay? And now, let's start going in and beginning to mask this thing. Okay? So this is where the fun part of working in Substance Painter really begins. Is we set these basic fill properties, and now we're going to jump in and we're going to start saying only these polygons, okay, are going to get this fill layer, and only these polygons are going to get this other fill layer. Okay? Let's see how we do that. And it's wicked, wicked easy. Just like Photoshop. And this is awesome. We're going to go to the layer. And we're going to right click. I'm going to right click on my chrome layer. Check it out. First two. Add white mask, add black mask. Okay? Now if you've taken a Photoshop class with us here at SEC, you'll know pretty directly that, or you'll understand the function of these masks, right? What is a black and white image mask doing to our, associated item?
Hiding parts of the image.
I love it. It's hiding it. So they're turning parts of the image off, turning other parts on. Okay? We're fundamentally, at a root level, doing the exact same thing. Okay? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a black mask. Okay? and then interactively go in with my masking tools and paint white, okay, to reveal that part or that fill layer on certain parts of my model. Now, before I click on, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to choose black mask. Now, why did that make sense? Just looking at what we see here, why is this on target? Did it do what it should have done?
Yes.
Yes, because it flooded the entire layer mask for that fill layer with black pixels. So black means off. It turned all the chrome off. Now I want to go in and say these polygons are chrome on, if you will. Okay? Let's do it. It's really, really easy. Just like Photoshop, please make sure you're aware of what you have selected over in your layers palette, because the little blue bounding box, little outline, is important. I'm working on the fill layer. Now I'm working on the mask. Okay? This little blue outline. So I have my mask selected, and now I can start doing any number of things. Okay? Let's keep it easy. Day one, we'll keep it real easy. So what we're going to do, instead of using the paintbrush, which we could do if we wanted, we'll get the paintbrush here in a minute. Let's do this. We're going to go to this tool, Polygon Fill. Okay? It's the one in your toolbar at the top of the screen. A little rectangle with a red arrow on it. Okay? In my opinion, this is probably the most powerful tool in the app. Okay? Now you click on it, and you're immediately going to see what? Yeah, now you see an outline of all the polygons on your mesh. Yeah.
Sorry, how did you do that?
So I went to the first I made sure that the mask was selected on my fill layer.
Right.
Right? And then I went to the top of the screen where my toolbar sits, and I clicked on that button right there, Andy.
Okay.
Okay. So when the polygon fill tool is turned on, you're going to see the outlines of all the polygons on your mesh. Now we're getting something, right? There's one other thing that we have to be laser focused on, and I remember when I first started learning Substance Painter, this was a stumbling point for me, because now if the designers are listening to my podcast or my live stream, algorithmic folks, fix this. Listen now, okay?
Because send this video to their complaint.
I know,
office or
right?
something.
You enable the tool, and you're going to see this for almost all of the substance tools, the painter tools. You turn the tool on in the toolbar, and then we now have to travel way over here, back over to our properties panel. Because there's a couple different things that we can change on this tool that will change its application. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about. All right. So here we go, and there's the fill modes. So we can fill individual vertices. That's a little bit more advanced. We'll talk about, that's triangle, fill, and polygon, not verts. This one is fill polygons, okay? This one is just fill everything, okay? And then this last one, which I particularly love, is fill UV chunks, okay, or UV islands, okay? Let's start off, since I don't really have a strong command of how the author of this model unwrapped the UVs, let's start off with this one. Okay, the polygon for the square, okay? So this is the mode, and then down below is the color that we're going to paint. Now, if I want to activate and turn on my chrome fill on certain polygons, what color am I going to need to pick here? White, okay? So, and another thing that if the designers of Substance Painter are listening, make the color picker bar here a different color than white, because it's easily lost inside of this row. It should be like a red or something, okay? So I'm painting with white now, all right? And look how fun this is. Now I'm going back to the model, and I'm going to start left-clicking and dragging, and you can see that whenever that box goes over, you can even individual click on them. Zoom out. So if you want to zoom out, you can either use your scroll wheel or right mouse button. Okay. So you can go in there and start filling it, which is kind of fun. Okay. And now, I'm not going to go and do all of it, but I could. You can see that when I go back to like my brush mode, I have both materials on my mesh. Okay. I'm just going to experiment for a second with my, my fill properties by changing it to UV chunk. Sometimes this goes a little bit faster. If you just click on the mesh, yeah, that worked better. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah, so I just changed it from the polygon fill mode over to the UV chunk fill mode, this last one. And then just like we did before, click on the mesh, and it will flood that UV chunk with your masking information. It's a little bit faster way of working. Now, here's a good opportunity for us to talk about oopses. Okay, I made a big boo-boo here, a big mistake. Okay, I accidentally messed up, and you can see that mess up here. I accidentally painted some masking information on those polygons. I want those polygons to be blue, not chrome, or what my chrome is. Okay, so how could I fix this? Command Z is not a good way of doing it. There's a better way.
Just switch it back to black.
Switch it back to black, man. You got it. You got it. And just like Photoshop, hitting the X key will flip your colors. Bloop. Okay? Or if you wanted to, and if you think about it, what the X key is ultimately doing, and here we are back on our fill, is just turning it from white to black. White to black. Okay? And I can see that I did the exact same oops on the inside. So I'm painting with black, and I'll click on this inside section, and now it turns the chrome for that part off. That's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty great. And I'm only just touching the surface here. Yeah.
I'm trying to clean on my model, but it doesn't.
Let's check it out. Yep. Look at the color of your mask. It's white, and you're painting white. Yep. Yeah. Now what's up?
Mine's on the side. You know how to like move it to the side.
Yeah, I think it's in the F key. It will fit. Yeah, good keyboard shortcut to commit to memory. The F key will fit your model into the viewer. Kind of like the A key over in Moto. Let me help Alan on PC. Okay.
I can proceed.
Okay. So Alan did something you shouldn't have done, Alan. Man, come on. No, joking. No, he hit the C key. Okay. Now, one of the cool things about Substance Painter is, but unbeknownst to you, you're actually doing about 5 different things on the back end when you start painting. Okay. Hitting the C key on accident is going to expose your work on all of the different texture sets or texture maps that you're creating. Okay. Let me show you what this looks like. Hit the C key, and now check it out. Now I'm looking at the base color section of this network. If I keep hitting the C key, now I'm looking at the metallic channel. There's the roughness channel. There's the normal map channel, the height channel, the emissive channel, normal base, back to base color. So how do we get out of this, right? Huh? No. Here's how you get out of it. And what we need to do, I want to make this part of my interface a little bit bigger. Where we're going is the is display settings or viewer settings? It is this viewer settings. Okay, down here, viewer settings. Then what we want to do is under the mode, change it from solo, because now we're exclusively looking at the individual channels that make up this texture set, and then just go back to material. We're back in action.
Or you can just list them.
There's the keyboard shortcut, M. All right. Question, comments? Yes, sir.
I don't know if I'm getting ahead of the class, but is there any way you can make also certain parts of the model glow?
Yes, you can. We'll get to that later on.
Okay, all right.
But the answer to your question is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see where you're at. Yeah, okay, great. So the question that Zach has is, why don't I, on my screen, why don't I see the outlines of my model anymore? You're only going to see the outlines of your model, of the wireframes of your model, when you're in this tool, okay? The polygon fill tool. If you're in the standard brush, which we're about to get to, all of those outlines go away. So if you're really tired of seeing your wireframes, just go to the standard brush, you're up and running. Aha! Cool, huh? Alrighty, right. So let's do this one more time. So I want to have a third material be the inside. Okay. So it's blue, chrome, and then we'll have right in here, I want to have something else. Okay. And then I want to be able to paint on the inside. Okay. Now that we have a little bit of, yeah, go ahead.
You know how in Mother you can select a loop?
Can't do that. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't do that here. Yep. Yeah, it's you can't actually select the polygons, edges, or verts on the model in Substance Painter. Keep in mind, this is a one-trick pony. All it does is do texture painting. It's aware of like edges and polygons, but unfortunately, you really can't manipulate them. So in the grand scheme of things, when would you really want to do texturing work? At the end, when your model is locked down, for sure. Okay, so now we have a little bit more experience working inside of this fill layer idea. Let's kick it up a notch, as they say, okay? Because this is ultimately when things get really, really, really fun. My laptop battery is about to die. So let's plug in so we don't lose the live stream here. Okay. All right, so these, we've been creating custom fill layers throughout the entirety of our day together, right? Custom fill layers. Let's tap in to really what's probably the go-to feature of the substance universe, and that's what's called, unsurprisingly, a substance, okay? A substance is a collection of image maps that are all working together to create a very high-quality result, okay? This result is the combination of diffuse color map, normal map, a roughness map, a metallic map, spec map. There's a lot of textures that all kind of work together to produce some really cool results, okay? Quickly and awesomely, okay? And yes, I just made it work, okay? If this is my class, and I can do that. So, joke. So let's have some fun with these substances. The crew down at Algorithmic do an awesome, awesome job of supplying us with some really fantastic substances, some presets, if you will. I can't even call them presets, because in every sense they're building blocks, and they're really useful, okay? Incredibly useful. Let's see how they work, okay? And how we can work with them inside, inside of our workflow, okay? So let's do this. There's a couple ways we can apply one of these presets, but let's go down into our shelf. Our shelf is a browser. And as you can see, the crew down at Algorithmic give us a ton of free stuff. And they also make it easy for us to, allow us to save our own stuff as presets and what have you. I'll let you explore all of this on your own, okay? Because there's a bunch of stuff in here. These are all image maps, by the way, textures, 2D textures. But when we get down into the materials section, now we're talking, okay? These are materials, just like what we were creating a moment ago. Okay, so let's do this. Maybe I want another part to be, I don't know. Let's do this brass pure, that one right there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this little icon. Here's a cool little trick, by the way, because I'm getting old. You guys are lucky you have youthful eyes. I have very old eyes. These little presets are hard for me to see. Let's change the size to big preset pictures. Oh, now we're talking. Okay, let's do this. Let's grab this thing and I'm going to left click and drag it above my chrome layer. Awesome, huh? Pretty cool. Pretty cool, huh? It's just that easy. Drag, drop it into our layer stack, and apply that preset substance material into my scene. Now earlier I mentioned that I want the back to be blue. Of course, this center little bit's going to be chrome, and then this third bit in here I want to be brass. So what do I need to do to mask out this new brass material and only have it go on the area that I want it to go on? What's the first step? Yeah, right click on the material, or the fill layer, excuse me. Right click, and then I'm going to choose add black mask. Okay, that way I can pick, of course, with my polygon fill tool, exactly which parts of the mesh I want it to be brass. There we go. And luckily, the author of this guy already came out with some really good UV islands that we can use. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. That's all I'm going to do. That's what I want. Cool, huh?
You do one more time.
Absolutely. Let me just go back in time a couple steps.
Which filling or which filament?
I did the UV chunk. UV chunk, yeah. That's a good one. I use the UV chunk a lot. Yeah, especially on models that I've made, because I know exactly where the UVs are, and usually I create the UVs so that they can be used pretty simply in this process. So here's my new fill layer. Right click, add black mask. Then with that mask selected, I can go to my polygon fill tool, which is the square with the red arrow on it. And then once again, I'm using the UV chunk fill mode with a color of white to paint masking information on that object. And I just left clicked on it.
What if you want to change it back to a different color, so like blue?
So if you wanted blue, okay, great question. So maybe I don't want that to be, brass. Maybe you want it to go back to blue, or maybe you want it to be something else, okay? Check this out. This is actually really cool, okay? Maybe I want it to be concrete, or let's find something else in the list. Maybe I want it to be lizard scales. Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong, okay? So we have a couple things in here that we can do, and this kind of speaks to the power of this system. What is the first thing that I could do based off of what you guys have been exposed to so far? How could I apply that lizard scales preset into my layers palette? Drag and drop. Yeah, just that easy. Just like we did earlier with the brass. Just drag and drop. I'll put it at the top so it overwrites everything else. And now lizard scales. Awesome. Okay, that's fun. Okay. However, it doesn't have the mask. Is there a way that I could transfer the mask from this layer to that layer? Right-click on the mask, explore it, find out, see what you get. What are the options in that big long pull-down menu? Yeah, you'll find copy mask is in that pull-down menu. Let me do it so I'm with you guys. Copy mask. And then we go to my lizard scales, right click. Oh, we had to have a mask first, I apologize. So we'll add a black mask, and then we'll paste it in, paste into mask. And now you can see what we get over here. There's my lizard scales. That's pretty fun.
Does that mean we can delete the gold one?
You can delete the gold one if you like. Okay, let's just do it. Or you can turn it off. How do we deactivate that layer? It's a little radio button right here. That's visibility. So I've turned off lizard scanning. We can see what's below. But also select the gold, the brass, if you will. Hit the backspace key and bye-bye. It's gone. Here's one other option for you. Now this is pretty neat. Remember, we're using these things called substance materials, which are a whole collection of properties and images that are being used together to create lizard scales. Okay? I want to select my lizard scales material, not the mask now. I got the material selected. If we go down here into our properties panel, see where it says material, this is like a category, okay? These are all the properties for the material that I have selected. Check it out. It says substance material mode, and then it says lizard scales in here. There's a couple ways that we can do this next thing, but maybe I want, instead of being lizard scale, I go, maybe it should be rust fine. Well, I can drag that, instead of dragging it into my layers palette, I can drag it right there, and it updates. I can swap out the material without having to remask anything. I changed my mind. Neat, huh?
So dragging two materials?
Yeah, well, you drag it right there. Yeah, there you go. You can swap things on the fly pretty quickly. In addition, if you've already noticed, there's a little pull down area, a little button for a pull down menu. You click on that button right there. Watch what happens. Or look what happens. Look on your screen. See what happens. Or, I'm sorry, not on the button. You're supposed to click on where it says, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Not that button, because this is crazy advanced stuff. Just click on where it says substance material. What do you see here? Your browser, your shelf. So this is another great fast way to go in and find something, change it, swap it out, audition things, without having to go in and remask stuff. Thank you, algorithm. You've now allowed me to be an art director. Okay, I like that. Yeah.
How do you switch to the materials?
Yeah, let's do it real fast. All right. So select the material to fill. That. Yep. And property panel. No way. For some reason. Let's fix this. Start versus view. Yep. Properties. Yep, that's the one. There it is. Use its substance material. In addition, if you already know like which one down here you want to use, grab that green shiny one. Left click and drag it onto right there. Yeah. Cool, huh? You're welcome. Oops, sorry. Let's do, I think for me, I want to do steel rough in there. Yeah, now we're talking. That looks cool. All right, so we have a little bit of a problem, a conundrum, if you will, for my model here. Now, if you remember the big picture idea, I wanted the back of the head to be one color, you know, that first band to be something, and the third band to be something different, and then I wanted to paint a face on there, right? But right now, where it's my face, what am I seeing? Blue, right? Based off of everything that we've talked about today so far, why is it blue? I just didn't hear you. You may be right. I just honestly didn't hear you. Was it Alan or Mookie who said it? The UV map is not blue. Remember, the UV map is just a pattern. It's just an outline of our model. Elliot. What haven't I masked? The blue fill layer. Yeah, remember the blue fill layer, anything that's unmasked is going to be flooding the entire UV map. Okay? The blue guy down here at the bottom, what would be fill layer 1, is flooding to every single polygon that's on that texture set. Okay? If I don't want to see it somewhere, what do I have to do? We could mask it, and in this case, I'm going to mask it, or paint over it. Yeah, or paint over it. Okay? I'm a big fan of masking things. Let's just mask things. I think it's a good practice to be able to control where you want that color and that material to go. So once again, I'll add this time I'm going to add a white mask, okay, and then paint with black. There we go. Happy camper. Okay. Now we just have a lovely white face. If you're ever curious as to where the mask is influencing your mesh, here's a good little trick. This is a power user trick, something that you don't always have to do, but it is helpful. It really is. Once again, if you go back down into your viewer settings, you can go in, and it's up here, or, oops. Oh, yeah. It's under mode. Right now we're seeing the combined influence of all the channels, but we could go into additional map and then choose, oh, I'm sorry, not additional map, solo, and then choose mask, there it is at the very bottom, mask. And now we can physically see the influence of that mask on the model itself. Okay.
Oh, was it the accident button I pressed?
Huh?
Is that the button that I pressed?
Yeah, yep. So if I click on lizard skins now, and then go into my viewer settings, and then under where it says view base color, I can choose mask. Yeah, and you can see what is physically being masked out. That's helpful. Hitting the M key again will return you to your combined viewer state. Yeah, Elliot.
So you put a mask on it, and then you paint it with white, and then the white you get white as the base color.
Yeah, it's kind of like the base color. Yeah, it's like the nothing color.
So we should have it. So if we don't have a base color, it'll just revert
It's white. Yeah. Yep.
What if I want to change that to like a different color, let's say blue?
Good question. Let's do it. This is gonna kind of combine. So using what we've talked about so far, just make a fill layer and mask just that area with blue. Okay. But this gives us a great opportunity to talk about another type of layer that we have in the work table today. It's the paint layer. Okay. Is I want to be able to go in and like draw a smiley face or something in it. That'd be kind of fun, right? Let's just do that real fast. Okay. All right. So back to our layers palette. Instead of doing a fill layer, this one, I'm going to add, they used to be exclusively called paint layers, and it looks like they've changed their naming convention to just add layer. It's a paint layer, okay? Because in my mind, I like to make that distinction. Paint layers are layers that you can physically go in with a brush and paint on. Fill layers are just going to flood that area with color or material substance stuff, okay? So let's do it. Let's add a layer, a paint layer. Whoop. Now immediately you can see the thumbnails here and how they're different to the fill layers. What's the big UI difference between a paint layer and a fill layer? Yeah, the paint bucket. Look for that paint bucket, because sometimes when you're just looking at your layer stack, you're like, okay, what is the role of this? Oh, well, that's a fill layer, fill paint bucket. Okay. So now that we have a paint layer in here, I can go in with my brush. I'm in the brush command, this one right here, standard brush, and I can start painting, okay? However, and this is where the fun part of the brushes come in, we're not actually painting, we're not actually painting a just color down, we're actually painting color, you know, reflective qualities, the roughness values, all that stuff that we were looking at in the fill layer, we're actually painting down. So let's do this. I'm going to go, I've just kind of minimized the brush and the stencil section over here in my properties panel, just to give us some on-screen real estate. We'll come back to that here in a minute. And I'm in the material section now, and let's just give it a fun color. We'll make it red. We'll close it out. And now, if you look carefully underneath your cursor, what do you see? Red. Okay, well for me, it's going to be red. And now, this is awesome. Cool, huh? That looks kind of crazy, but maybe I like crazy. So one big eye, one small. Now our Mr. Bob, an angry Mr. Bob. Right? As an example. As an example. Now, one of the neat things about this whole thing is that we can change our color whenever we want. Let's see, let's go to blue, for example. We can paint some blue in there. Okay. So now we're customizing this. We truly are painting. We truly are painting. Okay. Let's say we want to change a couple things here. Maybe we want to have, instead of it being a nice soft brush, okay, we can go into the brush section of tools here, the brush section of options, and now this is just like Photoshop. We can change the size of our brush, the flow, the opacity of each stroke, the spacing between the stamps. The shape is actually, here we go, make it hard or soft, and the hardness value down here. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we use the brush in masks?
Yes, absolutely. So the question was, can we use a brush and mask? And the answer is yes, absolutely. And it's a really great, powerful way of working. Okay, let's talk about that for a second, because it is kind of neat. What if we wanted to, I don't know. I really don't know. What if we wanted to have like a racing stripe going down the back of this dude's helmet? Okay, this is actually kind of neat. Let's do this. I'm going to add a fill layer, paint bucket, and I want that racing stripe to be gold. So I'm going to drag it into the material node with my material properties. Boop, everything goes gold. Let's add a mask to it, add a black mask. Okay. However, if I go to the brush mode and try to paint, it's kind of working a little bit. It's not really painting what I want. Looks like it's painting lizard skins at the moment. So let's go back in time. Oops.
How do you go back in time? How do you
Command Z, just like any other app.
Really?
Just Command Z.
Oh, that's why.
Undo. All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Now this is, let's see here. Oops. There we go. Oops. Undocked my properties panel, which is fine. So right now, for whatever reason, the this grayscale section has been loaded in with that lizard scale stuff. So I don't want that. There we go. Now we're painting gold. So you can paint masks with the paintbrush. And then if I turned it to pure white, then we'd really see the gold. I didn't see that I was painting with 50% gray. So now we can go in and paint a material, which is pretty great, on our masks. If you really wanted to get crazy, one thing, and then I'll come back to you, okay? If you really wanted to get crazy, you could go into the stencil section, okay? And that's why they have these brushes over here inside of your shelf, because we can load in, I don't know, let's do the dirt brush. So you load this in as, oh, where's it going to go?
Under brushes, it's at the top. Oh,
Where is it?
it's
I always
alpha
forget.
sphere. Right.
Alpha?
Wait, it's right. Yeah, there.
That one. Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm in the brush section on alphas. That's why I was like, why isn't this working? Yeah, sorry. My bad. Let's pick, I don't know, something fun. Like Grunge 1. Then we throw that into the alphas. And now I can paint that kind of unique pattern in there, which is fun. Of course, you can change like the size jitter. This is where it gets neat. The spacing. Of course, the rotation jitter can be changed in here as well. That's the angle jitter. That way, they all get stamped down in different ways.
How can you erase?
Huh?
How can you erase?
So it depends on what you're painting. If you look carefully at what I'm choosing to paint on, I'm painting a mask, right? So if I wanted to kind of turn off the areas that I've already painted, I just need to change my color from white all the way to black. And now I can have that stuff go away, which is pretty cool. Awesome.
What if you're painting the layer?
If you're painting on a layer, then Just grab the eraser tool.
Oh, okay.
Shortcut for eraser key.
Maybe. I really don't know. I think it may be the 2 key. Because 1 is standard brush, 2 is eraser, 3 is the projection view. We'll talk about that later, and 4 is polygon fill. Get smudge, cloning. You even work in symmetry in here too, which is pretty stellar. So if I really don't like my Mr. Bob, I can go in and erase it. Or Mr. Bill. Is it Mr. Bill or Mr. Bob? I can't remember. Mr. Bill.
How can you control the size of the eraser?
I think it's brackets. Yeah, the brackets key, just like Photoshop. Yeah.
Is there some kind of selection tool so that if you work on a layer, you just work on a certain part of the polygons?
Yes, there is actually. There is. I wasn't going to talk about this today, but there's actually a quick mask section, and it allows you to go in and say, I just want to paint in here. Okay. Let's just do that real fast because it's super fun. I think if I remember correctly, the T key, the T key will allow you to go in to the quick mask mode, okay? And let me just do a nice soft alpha here. And I think if I remember correctly, yeah, there we go. Of course, all of my flow and spacing stuff influencing my brush. Oops, what did I do? Let's go back to brushes and just choose, there's a standard brush in here. Default soft, there we go. Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, we're establishing here, actually painting, no, we should be painting just masking information. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so we go into quick mask, we paint the areas that we want to paint. And now I can go in, if I was to select material, why am I not seeing my color here? What did I change? Excuse me. I've messed up something. I don't use the quick masking stuff all that often. So I'll let you kind of explore it on your own, Mike. But it is there. And then, yeah, you hit Y again and it clears the quick. Let's see if I can figure this out. So T gets you into quick mask. And let's just say I want to only paint inside that square. Let's see if we can figure it out real fast. I don't remember off the top of my head. There we go. Then we hit the Y, oops, T key. I'll do it real fast this time. And then T key again. Now we're using that mask. Maybe I got the wrong. Oh, I'm in the eraser tool. That's why it's not paint. I was like, what in the world is going on? I thought it was in the brush tool. Yeah, now here we go. Now see how it's honoring that mask? There we go. My bad. I'm sorry. I thought I was in the paint tool. And then the Y key will allow you to jump out. Let's do that again just so everyone's on the same page. And now that I'm aware of the mistake that I was in, the T key will get you into quick mask mode. Okay? And I can define an area that I want to preserve. Okay, so maybe I just want to paint inside that area. There we go.
When you do that, does it mean you can't paint behind the object?
No, you can. You know, anything that's not black right now, you can paint on. I'm just giving myself a rough zone to paint in. Then I hit the T key again, and now it says using quick mask down here. And I'm in the standard brush, just painting red. Cool, huh? Pretty fun. Yeah, Kathy. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, let's see what we're seeing. Ah, okay, see way down here says using the mouse. You're done. The Y key. There we go.
Okay, so
Yes, the Y key turns off your quick mouse.
okay, but the thing is, like when I'm trying to use the quick mouse,
Right. You're in the polygon filter. I was in the brush. Yeah. No problem.
And I got into the various view forms. I accidentally hit E and then I started hitting C.
And it started cycling through. Hit the M key to pop you back out.
Thank you.
We're back in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got into this thing where every time I hit a brush, it like animated.
Ah, you were in a particle brush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is really kind of fun. Yeah, so you're in the you found your way into the particle brush section, and this is actually one of the really neat things about working inside of Substance Painter. Let me get rid of my red, because Substance Painter, as I mentioned, is aware of your geometry. Now let's see, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work with my example here. But let's just give it a try. Let's do fracture. Okay. Let's see. Now, if I was to click, yeah, it's actually doing it, but I think I'm not in the right brush mode. I think it's the escape key, or maybe click. I don't use these very often.
Yeah, I get into it, then I can't get out of it.
Yeah, mine stopped.
I mean, I switched to other brushes. And
Yeah,
still has it for-
and it's still doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, they're really cool because then you can go in and you can do like stuff like that, where the particles will help out, which is kind of neat. You can do it like up here. This is kind of the power of Substance Painter. And of course, if you go into the physics component of this, you can change how all this works and behaves. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It should only be animating it while the mouse is down. Keeps doing it. Which one did you choose, Elliot?
No, so I went over to grunges now and I picked out a random one and I click on the model and
It'll keep going. Oh yeah, I see. Mine's doing the same thing. How do we turn that off?
try down the brushes and just double clicking on the brushes.
Yeah, maybe.
You start using the brush.
Let's go to the default soft brush. Yeah, that turned it off for me.
Okay. That's
The Indigo had it. Just return to another brush. Yeah, what they don't say in here, and this is something that's kind of new for me too, is that this is a particle brush. Okay, it's a brush, and once a brush is on and active, it's always going to be applied until until you pick a different brush. Yeah, you can go crazy with these brushes, by the way. You're going to find, once you start getting into this and experimenting and just kind of playing with the tool set, that there is a lot of customization. If I was to make one suggestion as you start your kind of journey into this, is to be aware of the screen right properties panel. This takes some getting used to. They display their properties a little bit differently. In fact, I think when I was first exploring this a couple of years ago, I really drove into, or the thing that really helped me kind of understand the visual hierarchy of all these properties are these colored bars, okay? These are sections of properties, okay? Because when everything's open, it gets very difficult to understand what in the hell is going on right now, right? So I usually collapse stuff to say, okay, I just want to look at the material that I'm painting down. I'll go find one, you know, concrete. Let's pick something really obvious. Like sci-fi artificial leather. That's awesome. I want to paint that down. There we go. Cool, huh? Pretty cool. Here's what I would like us to do. Let's take a break. We've been going for a couple hours, okay? And then we'll come back in and we'll start looking at our lab assignment, which is going to be the crate. Okay? Let's take a break. Small little break. Yeah, question.
I didn't really shape the thing to work. Like I got the shape able to paint the sort of thing, but I wasn't able to afterwards. After the
Okay, cool. So let's make your quick mask.
Okay.
Cool.
Add the light ray.
That's fine. Yeah, why? Oh, why? Sorry. It's T one more time. Y clears the quick mask. That's my fault. I'm sorry. There's some opacity. We're painting with pure white, so you should be good. Yeah, go ahead and continue painting. And then when you're happy with that, yeah, now you're editing. Hit the T key again. Okay, now you're using the quick mask.
it's probably the same color.
It's probably, yeah.
But do I need to be on a specific color?
This will work. Yeah, let's make it a really odd color so you can see what's happening. Cool. You're the brush tool. Could be just a layer order operation. But if you were to take layer one and drag it above top of pure. Okay. Aha! That was it. It was a layer order thing. One of these other layers. It was probably this guy. This one down here wasn't masked out, so it was covering it up. Yep.
Okay.
Cool, cool, cool. What's that?
I just thought I'd say that my password's expired, so I gotta change it.
Okay. And you can do that online through the e-services prompt if you need to. It's easier. Yeah. Of course. Yep. What we put that layer on? It seems to be blocked out by layer 2, another layer. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. Yep. Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe?
Or is it just not? It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's not like Photoshop where it's going to automatically select the layer when you click over that property. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Mm-hmm. That's half the semester. Yeah. I think that would be a sage choice. Well, as you saw earlier, I until the first use your money back. So it's basically just right. Hopefully you'll know between now and a week. Sound good? Yeah.
Is there a way to make your own brushes from textures?
You can. You have to import the texture first. And when you do it, it will go into this project section of your shop. You've done some baking, awesome, love it. But you can drag and drop an image in here, and then you can drag that image over into the alpha or the stencil property of the brush. Like that. Yes, they make it super easy. I like it, Rob. The hazard triangle. That's awesome. Cool. No, I love it. I think it's awesome. This is one of those apps that like I encourage people just to screw around with, right? Because you just paint. It's kind of like Photoshop.
It's not having the vertice or the got the line segment selection. Like I know, I guess you do that in Moto and bring it over
use this for fine detailing.
Yeah, you certainly could. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can extend the power of this. We're not going to go into all of those functionalities today, but you can bring a surface ID map in, and you can have automatically mask things by pixel color of that image.
So like this UV is probably not as smart as it could be. Like you could do a lot more like chopping and moto to make it.
Maybe, yeah. I haven't really digged into this UV map in too much detail, but if you were the author of this model, how you export things from your DCC app, Moto, Maya, whatever, can be leveraged in here.
Because I'm just thinking, like, say you want to do a racing stripe,
Mhm.
like selecting it in Moto is so easy versus having to like fine-tune paint it.
Yep. Yeah, admittedly, things like that, you kind of have to take a painterly approach to it.
Right. I
You
see
know?
like working well for organic things, but not
Definitely.
necessarily for like technical.
And you do have the ability to paint like straight lines and stuff. Hold down the
Hold
shift
shift
key,
key,
you can paint straight lines. So, like with all things, it takes some practice. Yeah.
I have one more question. So maybe down here to
Yeah.
but when I try to change the material here, it keeps the lines.
Right. Yeah. Is the something we haven't talked about yet. On that silhouette, can you click on it for me? What is it? It's like a wood, right? One of the things that's a member of that material, that substance material, is a height map. Okay, which is pretty cool bumps. But everything above it, that doesn't have a height map. So what you're seeing is a height map from down here. Now, if you wanted to turn that off, you could. Go ahead and click on it.
What if I want it on this layer?
What do you mean?
Well, okay, so what if I want to, what if I like it back here?
Yeah.
So don't want it here.
Mhm.
Would I move it down?
You could, and you can give it a try. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll show up.
You know what you could
Yeah,
do?
it'll show up.
What you could do is you duplicate that layer. Okay. That one. Put it back in its original layer order. Okay. So let me just make sure I understand. You want to have the wood grain pattern on the back.
Right.
Right? You don't want it on the front. Okay. So if you duplicate that layer. Okay. Now on this one, you need to mask out the area that you don't want to see the wood grain pattern.
Okay. Does it matter what color you use for the mask?
Yeah, well, black and white, right?
Right. I had like
So on top one, you turn it off on the front. That's also on the top one, you need to turn it, or excuse me, the bottom one, you need to turn it off on the back, right? We're having one of these is for the front,
okay.
the other one's for the back.
Okay. So this one's for the back.
His name is back. Just the word. So that's the back.
Okay.
All right. So it's just up to you. You click off, and click on it again. So that's the back. Let's do this. Let's go down here. It says no. Go solo. And then what's the base color? Now we can see it. So this is the back. See, it's white here in front.
Okay. So this should be black.
That should be black. Okay. Cool. Let's do the same thing for the top, just so we're fully rock solid understanding function. That works too. That's it. You may have taken the racing straight back. Actually, really moved it back.
Oh.
Oops. Cool. Great. Now let's go to this one.
Okay.
Alright, same thing. So we've already done it. Cool. Yeah, so this one should be opposite. We only see white on the front face.
You want it white.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
I don't know why it's red.
You're on the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
in we'll work over there. Yep. Cool. Police were controlling it now, right? We're not getting double. So you don't want to be on the front, right? So this is the front one. Okay. With this selected, we can go down into material and turn off its height channel. Okay. As well. Yep.
Okay.
It's still there. Yeah, it's just subtle.
Thank you.
It's raining, Andrew.
Actually, this is sandstorm.
Sandstorm. It's cool, huh?
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I was trying to do.
Yeah, that works too. I mean, if that's what you're after, you can do that, of course. Yeah.
So if you also want to export this model, so I could put it on back into model.
Yeah, so we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to talk about that together as a class. So that's a big, important step. So when everyone comes back from the break, we'll tackle what we do with this.
Is there a break given?
Yeah.
Oh.
Quick break, because now we're kind of towards the tail end of it.
Alright.
You guys were just so into painting that you didn't want to stop, which I'm okay with. Yeah.
For a Mac for an Apple laptop, what would you recommend? Apple.
For something like this in the 3D world, you need one that has the best graphics card you can get.
And for game?
Same thing. A good GPU.
What about for Windows?
Same thing. Same thing. You just want a good graphics card. And a lot of RAM. A lot of RAM. In all honesty, I wouldn't suggest buying a laptop.
It's just a lot more portable than.
Yeah, but for our stuff, if you're really serious about it, the type of graphics cards you're going to find in a desktop are far superior to what you find in a laptop. Far superior. Some laptops don't even have a dedicated graphics card. They have discrete graphics. Well, not discrete. Discrete doesn't mean a dedicated one. What is it? Integrate. Thank you. I'm brain dead. I'm in painting land.
Is there any class that teach you freelancing?
There's a business class in the GCOM department that they offer every once in a while. I want to say it's GCOM 350. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. That's outside of my area. Yeah.
So for each masks on each layer, they're individuals of that layer, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I could theoretically just do all white masks, all black masks.
No, I don't think it does. Yeah, I think it's just a workflow thing, how you're choosing to work with it. Alrighty, folks, should we get back to it? All right. Because there's a couple more things in here that we got to look at before we can really advance on to the next thing. Okay. And that, is what do we do with these textures once we're done? Okay. How do we get them out of Substance Painter and then back into Modo in a big, big way that we can wrap on the model? Okay. There's a couple things in here that we need to look to do. Okay. First and foremost, before we go any further, this is really, really important, so I need everyone to hear this, because this is going to be your go-to resource, not if you get confused, when you get confused to do this, okay? This is the most technical part of your time here in Substance Painter, because for the most part, it's pretty cool, right? It's pretty artistic. You can kind of get the feeling for it after a couple hours of poking around the interface, okay? But getting things out of Substance Painter then into Modo is not difficult, but there's a sequence here that we've got to follow. Okay? Luckily for us, the guys and gals down at Algorithmic are pretty awesome. Let me return back to Canvas for one small moment. It looks like I closed my browser. If you go back into Canvas, and specifically the Week 1 section, I've given you guys some links. All right, so go into Week 1, and then this is what I'm talking about, okay? First, in your own time, and I would really, really, really suggest that you do this, okay? Wes McDermott, the community manager for Algorithmic, he's done a phenomenal job of creating this wonderful kind of course, if you will, about how to learn Substance Painter or how to use Substance Painter. It's a whole series of videos. I think there's like 30 of them or something like that. They're relatively small and short in length, but they're basically going to go through each one of the major ideas. And so check out the playlist. It's awesome. I have shown you guys about, and I'm not joking, I've shown you guys today about 2% of what you can do in Substance Painter. It's awesome, okay? However, the tricky part, and the one that's going to continue to be a challenge, is this, getting it out, okay? So this is a link to the Substance Painter documentation. Let's just take a look at it real fast. Let's open Substance Painter. Here we go. Here's the documentation for Substance Painter. And in this page, you'll see exactly what we need to do. Okay? Now, what's most important, and we're going to go through this here in a second, but I want you guys to make a connection with it. Most important is down here at the bottom. The physically based material setup. This is what we're going to go over today. Okay? Because we have to export our Substance Painter information into a series of very specific image maps that will link to channels over in Modo. Okay? Wes and the crew down at Algorithmic have given us all that information right here. If you keep scrolling down just a little bit, yeah, there it is. Okay? So the diffuse texture map from Substance Painter is going to be used as the diffuse texture input over in Modo. Roughness is roughness. The reflection map is the specular color. The FO map, which we'll talk about here in a minute, is the specular amount, and the normal is normal. Okay? We'll talk about this here in a second, but it's here. It's right here in the documentation. In addition, let's go back. Wes has also created a video, okay, which is, in every sense, going to repeat what we're just talking about, okay?
Base
so
material.
This is everything that you need to make sure that we can transfer stuff from Substance Painter over into Modo cleanly, okay? So the documentation and this video is going to be your go-to resource to figure this out, okay? Like I said, it's not hard. Once you do it 2 or 3 times, it becomes really easy, but the first 2 or 3 times are going to be tough, okay? So let's do it together. Let's get this stuff out of Substance and into Modo so we use it, okay? And it just dawned on me, that I may not have the model file. I may not have the model file for Matt as an FBX. However, we can still do it. We'll do it. Okay. Here, let's just do the. I don't have the model file for that either. Okay. Let's start exporting stuff. Okay. So once you're done painting, we need to ask Substance to collect all of this stuff, package it up into a whole series of texture maps, and then we can import those texture maps over to Modo. Okay? So we'll go File, Export Textures. And this is where it gets kind of fun, because we get to see exactly what's going to get exported. Okay? There are the 3 texture sets, the head, the body, and the base. Okay? We didn't go over this today. Well, maybe I'll talk about this in the future because it's really kind of cool. But notice that there is a size that this is going to be created at. You can change this size at any moment, and it will recompute all of your masks, all the work that you've done for you automatically. Unbeknownst to you, you are actually painting with vector images instead of Substance Painter. So if you wanted to, I did this for a couple models recently, I painted everything at 2K, because that's what my computer was kind of able to support. But then, at the export stage, I went over and said, oh, I want all of these to be a 4K texture, and it recomputed all my masks and all the work at the correct pixel size. I went, bloop, okay? And it redid, it up-resed everything for me automatically, which is pretty great. It's awesome, okay? All right.
What if you make bitmap texture brushes in Photoshop and bring them in?
That's a little bit different, but I think on the back end, it still tries to figure out how to up-res all that stuff and maintain all the quality. Algorithmic has been around for a long time, and they kind of staked their claim with this whole idea of taking bitmap images and trying to vectorize them. You know, way back in the 90s, they were doing that. It's a great engine. It's a really great engine. Everything gets turned vector at some point, even though you don't often see it doing that. Okay, so what we need to change here is the configuration stuff, okay? Now, you have some presets here, okay? However, and let's see, I don't think they've, yeah. The one preset here that's not here is Modo, okay? Actually, there's a lot of ones that, well, Maya's not on here either. These are basically almost all the real-time rendering engines, okay? So if you were to, like, for example, I saw Unity in here. Yeah, here we go. If you were sending this model over into Unity to work in your game, you'd use the Unity configuration presets, right? Because then it's going to pop out all the textures that Unity's waiting for, okay? However, we don't want to do that. We want to pop out textures that Modo's is waiting for. So here's the tricky part, okay? Now in here, if you do this correct, okay, which I really hope that you do, you're only going to have to do this one time. And over in the design lab, you're only going to have to make this configuration file once, okay? So let's do it together. So here we'll go into the configuration section. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to create a preset with a little plus sign. Okay. Oh no, are you kidding me? We don't have permission to write to the preset folder because it's locked. Well, that's going to stop us in our tracks, isn't it? Yeah, well, I think it's a permissions problem on the machine. Because this isn't a student version. This is actually, we purchased this. Oh, I need to talk to computer services because they probably made the folder that all these preset configuration files go into, yeah, read only instead of write read only. Okay, so, well, let's do this. Let's pivot here because I remember doing this. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to use, yeah, we're going to do this. So, let's go back into the export tab. This actually works. I've done this before with great results. Let's do this until I figure out this whole thing. Let's use, let's see. Let's use PBR spec gloss for metal rough. Okay. This will work. Yeah, this will work good enough. All right. The rest of this, this is going to be the location that all of this information is going to be saved to. So I'm going to change it. Let's just put this on the desktop real fast. Okay. In addition, this is the file format that's going to be created. It's going to be creating PNGs. You can see all the different file formats that we support. It's also going to be an 8-bit image, and for what we're doing, that's just fine. Okay. If you're working on, Star Wars Episode 8, then you'll want 16-bit like raw images at that resolution. And then, so we're using the right configuration file. This is all good. You can even go in and kind of get a real good understanding. Look at all the image maps that are going to be created. Let's hit export and see what it creates. Here it goes. It's taking over. See? That's pretty fast. I'm going to hide Substance Painter, and then on my desktop, because I was sloppy, are a whole bunch of image maps. So these are all the image maps that were just created. Okay? That's pretty cool. So let's open this up in just a Finder window so we can see how they named it. Because if you just look at a glot of texture maps, it's kind of overwhelming. When you look at it in list view, you get a much better understanding of what Substance Painter actually popped out. If you look very carefully here at the naming conventions, you can see that all of the texture sets are grouped together. So there's the head ones up there at the top. You can see body. Those are all the textures that are used for the body portion. This is the base texture set that I painted on. Okay. If you take a look at it, it's going to look kind of funny. Head diffuse. Yeah, so there's the head map, okay, that we were painting the head on. Here's its emissive. We didn't do any sort of emissive or glowing stuff, so it's all black, which makes sense. Here's how the glossiness. Again, we didn't do any height map information, so it's just flat. Very little normal. Specular, the body diffuse. Yeah. So look, that's what it did. And then that was from a game class, I think. Here, let's delete those. All right. So what are we now going to do with these? Well, now it's time to bring these over into Modo and start making the connections inside the shader tree. Okay. Now I don't have a. Let's see. I bet you it's in here somewhere. I'm trying to remember where they store all of their shelf stuff. Let me see if I can find. Oh, wait, here we go. Nah, there's SPP. Bummer. Yeah, I don't have the actual model file. But let's do this. Let's do this. If you return to Canvas, I have two things that I would like you to do this week. Two kind of models that I just want you to paint that I do give you the model files for. So if you go back to the week 1 module, and go into your wooden crate. You can download. Here's the wooden crate model file. Let's download it real fast. Open it up. Here's the LXO. All right. So if you look at the wooden crate, there's two model files in here. A high and a low. Just pick one of these to export from Modo when you start working on the lab assignment. Okay? And it's really easy. How do I export one of these files? Remember from Modo? It's really easy. Just right-click on it. Okay? I'll do the high. Export selected layers. That way we're only exporting just that one bit. And then we need to put it in the FBX file format. Autodesk FBX 2015. And I'll do just layers. So it export out just that one layer. Substance Painter and Designer. There we go. Substance Painter and Designer wants to work with FBX files. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Could you just repeat?
Sure, absolutely.
Export process?
From Modo, it's super easy. Apparently, I didn't close down what I was doing on Thursday. Okay, so here's the crate, and you'll see this in a couple different places. Just right-click on the item in Modo. you'll get a contextual menu and just do export selected layers. And then from the format pull-down menu, just make sure you're choosing Autodesk FBX 2015. And then out of practice exclusive, I almost always do just layers to ensure that just the selected layer gets exported from the application. Just that model file. All the UVs will come with it too. Hit OK. I've already saved it out, so I'm not going to save it again. And there it is. There's the FBX file. Okay, this is the file that we now can paint on over in Substance Painter. Let's go back over into Substance Painter. And this is the beginning of your lab assignment and homework assignment. Let's just do File, New, and start working on the crate. It's pretty easy from here on out. Just follow the prompt. No, I guess I'm not going to save my mat. Okay. Now for the template, do, let's see, PBR metallic roughness. And then we have to import the mesh. This is the crate file, the FBX file that we just exported from Modo. Mine's on my desktop. It's right there. I'll hit open. And then the last thing that you have to do is the normal map format. We have to change it from DirectX, which is for Windows, okay, the Windows operating system, to OpenGL, which is what we use here on the Mac. Okay, that way it'll compute all the normals correctly. The rest of the stuff we'll go over at a later time. Then hit OK. There's our crate. Okay. Now we're free to start painting and going crazy on it, just like we did with good old Matt. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Frame. Hold on a sec. Let's see if we can figure that out. Okay. Well, that's unexpected. You know what I'm going to do? We should only have, this is a Modo thing. We should only have one material or one texture set in here. And, okay. I'm going to fix something and replace the model file that's back in on Canvas. Yeah.
Every time I export it, I just get a prompt that says 3 errors.
Oh, when you export an FBX out of Modo, it's always going to give you that prompt. Everything's fine.
Oh, but I can't open it in Substance Painter.
Okay. Well, you're a designer now. You just clicked on
Yeah, I
design.
accidentally clicked design. Click on functions.
Okay.
And then you open.
You can't. We don't want to do open. We want to do new. Yeah. So you open Substance Painter project files, and then when you want to start a new Substance Painter project file on a new model, you pick new. Good question. All right, let me see if I can fix something for you guys, because that should not have come in with what it did. Let's not do that. Let's do. All right, let's try this again. So I'm about to refresh the model file for you guys because there was a bug, if you will. There we go. It's not the low poly one. There's a couple polygonal poly tags existing on the mesh itself. So let me just save it. Then what I'll do is I'll recompress it. I'll put it back on canvas in its right spot. I apologize. Bugs happen, but better to catch it now than later. Name it wood, create model, that's it. Okay, so if you downloaded the crate file, please re-download it. The updated model file is back in Canvas without the little unfortunate bug in there. Because now when you start a new project over in Substance Painter, you'll exclusively get that single texture set, which is what we're after, which Widow's after. Okay, so re-download it and start a new project file with the updated asset. Okay, so what I want to do real fast, just to kind of go through this quickly, is just maybe use. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Now we've been checking out these materials. We also have some smart materials, which are a little bit more complex, which have a number of different fill layers and paint layers. All I think there's here we go. Let's just do wood chest stylized. I'm going to drag it in there. Done. You can rotate it and stuff so the wood grain is all going in the right direction. Talk about that later. But let's do this. Let's put that one in there, and then I'll put that one in there too. And what I'll do on the steel dark aged is I'll add a black mask. Then with my polygon fill tool, just go in and see if I can very quickly. There we go. UV chunk. Aha. Just very quickly mask out. So I have a metal frame. And then some wood planks. Why not? Alright, so there it is. There's my crate with some small little boo-boos along the way, but that's okay. We'll leave the... we'll fix it real fast. We'll fix it because I can. There we go. That's good enough. Oops, I missed one. There we go. Okay. So now that I have a model file that I can control, let's export it using the PBR Metal Rough preset. Let's put it on the desktop. This time what I'm going to do is I want to put a new folder. I'll call this Create Textures. Open, and I'll export it. Luckily for us, it just takes but a second, which is kind of cool. Let's get rid of all the ones I don't need. Goodbye, matte textures. Here we go. All right, so there they all are. Now, let's go back over into Modo and start making some connections, okay? Now, the unfortunate thing about this is that the resources that I gave you guys are kind of not going to work as well, but we can still do a lot of it, okay? It's not going to be as accurate. Got to figure out why it's not letting me read and write to my preference folder here on these Macs. But let's go back over into Modo real quick. And here's the material that was exported with the model file, okay, over in Substance Painter. And now what we're going to do is that we're just going to add the image maps that we just created from Substance Painter. You can do all of them if you'd like. Oops, looks like it's only going to do one at a time. Now this is where we got to be a little bit careful, okay? And you have to read the names of the image maps, okay? So just don't throw them in there. You got to read them, okay? So this is the crate, hi, that's the name of the material or the texture set. roughness. Right now, the roughness channel, the roughness texture map, is being used in the diffuse color channel of this material. What should this be? Roughness. Yeah. So let's right-click on it. Basic channels, roughness. Okay. Let's get the next one in here. It's starting to look different. Yay. Add layer, image map, load image. So we got, which one do we got? We got roughness. Let's do base color. Now base color, that's the easy one because that one is going to be diffuse color. And you can start to see that, yeah, awesome. Looks a little brown like wood. Of course, the grain's going the wrong direction. Let's do the next one. Height. I don't think we had, yeah, we can use height. There's a little bit of height information in here. So height can be used in one of two capacities. I'm going to use bump. It's under surface shadings. We'll do bump. Add layer, image map. So we got height, metallic. This is going to be specular amount under diffuse color. Specular amount. I think we have one more. The last one's the easiest. The normal map is just going to be normal. So again, we'll load its correct channel in. Surface shading, normal. And just hit yes, because this is saying, hey, it's in the wrong color space. Do you want it to flip in the correct color space? Yes. Let's go over the render tab and see what we get here. Not a single thing. We need to change this output back to final color. There we go, and there's our guy. So the big picture idea in all of this is there's two things, okay? We load each individual image map, okay? But then we gotta go make sure that each individual image map is being assigned to the correct channel of the material, okay? So the normal map gets assigned to the normal channel. Roughness to roughness, metallic to specular amount, height to bump or displacement. The height is going to be probably good for what we're doing here. Base color is diffuse color, and roughness is roughness. Okay? Once you do it a couple times, it becomes a little bit easier. Okay? We're just trying to get some parity in there. Okay? There'll be some small differences between what you see in Substance and what you see here. Okay? A lot of folks, they'll look at this and they go, Pat, that looks nothing like what it looked over in Substance. And I'm going to say, you're absolutely right. The biggest player in this, and the reason why it looks so drastically different, is that the environment in Substance Painter is invisible right now. And it's a different environment than the gray environment that we have over in Modo. Okay? So it's going to look very, very, very different. If you want to see your environment in Substance Painter, FYI, this is a cool little trick, and sometimes it's a little bit easier to understand what's going on. Under the Viewer Settings section, Environment Opacity, just turn that all the way up, and hey, look, there's your environment. It's also blurred out quite a bit. Environment blur. The hills are alive. The hills are alive.
They don't have eyes.
Cool, huh? Please make sure you go back and watch the live stream to get really solid on this process. The first couple times you do it, it's going to feel weird and uncomfortable because there's a lot of buttons that you need to hit. Okay, let's review this process one more time so everyone's on the same page. I know that there's some challenges in this. Okay, so when you're all done with your crate and you're even going to do a little wine barrel to get good at it, yeah. Very different. Really different. Okay, cool. Let's go back into Modo and look at all your textures. You did subsurface? Yeah, that's it right there. Specular amount, not subsurface amount. Yep. Yeah, so let's just go through the entire process one more time. Okay? Practice makes perfect. Actually, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Yeah.
So what will that will be turning in?
We'll go over that in a minute. Let's just go through the export process of getting out of Substance and into Modo. Okay? So when you're done painting in Substance, okay, file export, right? You'll get this crazy popover. This determines where you're going to be saving all your files, okay? This is the location. I would really suggest that you place all these textures in a folder, okay? The configuration file we're going to use for this week is going to be the PBR Metal Rough, okay? It's one of the presets that come with Unity, and until I can figure out how to solve our rewrite permissions issue, this will just have to do, okay? Yeah. I'm gonna, once it gets implemented, it'll get implemented everywhere. Yeah. We gotta figure out what the problem is, and then we'll make sure everyone can do it. Okay. And then, you know, here's all your textures. This will just give you a list of the ones that are gonna pop out. Okay. And hit export down here. Okay. This button way down here at the bottom. Now I'm not gonna export it again. Hide all this stuff so I can bring to the surface. Yeah. So here's the folder just chilling on my desktop that I saved all of my exported textures to. There they all are. Okay. Now back in Modo, we got to import each of those images individually. Okay. Now if you'd like, there's two ways that you can do this. Okay. You just delete them. Okay, so you could, and I'm kind of a manual guy. I like to do things one at a time, but that's just me, okay? You could go into the Create Material group, do Add Layer, Image Map, Load Image. That will allow you to import an image, a texture, a PNG file, into Modo, okay? I'll do the first one, just base color. Say again?
Where do you click to go to create material?
It should already be there in the project file that I supplied to you guys.
Oh, okay.
So I just did base color. So base color goes to diffuse color. Okay. Add layer, image map. Let's do the next one. Height. Height goes to bump. Or you can do displacement, but bump is going to be just fine for what we're doing. Okay. So the next one, metallic. This is the tricky one. Metallic. It's going to go to, I apologize, specular amount. Okay. Okay, now it's starting to look shiny. Awesome. Normal, this is the easy one. Okay. This normal is just going to go to surface shading normal. And hit yes, because it wants to make sure it's in the correct color space and Modo knows what it's doing. So just hit yes here. Okay. And the last one was the roughness. Of course, we need to change its effect from diffuse color to roughness. Ah, there it goes. And we're getting there. It's starting to look the way it's supposed to look. Okay? This is going to be close. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close. Okay? So your job, your expectation over the next 7 days, and we're going to start working on this now, is to make a texture for two different things. Because I want you guys to get some practice in this, because this is going to be an invaluable tool, really honestly, going forward. Okay? So let's go back to Canvas real fast and talk about what we're going to be doing this week for our homework in our lab. Okay? All right. So the lab is just that wooden crate, and have fun with it. Just go crazy for both of these. Just have fun. I want you to explore these tools and start getting used to working with inside Substance Painter. I've never seen a system, a suite of apps, kind of rocket to the foreground of our industry faster than Substance has. Okay, everyone has transitioned into the Substance world. It's amazing. It really is. This is what we've always been wanting in our industry. Okay, so just make a texture set for a crate. Since everything kind of got goofed because of the export settings, don't use these. I want to change this one because you can't, at the moment, export out an FO and an ambient occlusion. But use that PBR metal rough configuration in their export settings, and you'll get the right ones. Okay, I'll update this immediately so there's no confusion.
So does that affect the color that you're seeing, or the look of it?
So the look is going to be, yeah, so it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be, or it's going to be similar but different. Okay. Over here, keep in mind that what we are seeing here includes the reflection of this wonderful green and blue environment, right? Okay, lovely blue sky, looking great. Over in Modo, it's a gray environment.
So that means it's
Yeah.
really can you import environments to match?
Yeah, and let's see, I gotta remember where that environment file lives. It's just an image. It's just a spherical image. So the answer to the question is yeah. I just don't remember off the top of my head where that file exists and is currently residing on your machine. I think if you start to drill down, yeah, here we go. It's in the environment section of your shelf. I just don't know where these individual files are being saved. Well, there's the path. There's the path right there. They need a reveal in Finder. Maybe you can just export it. And then you can import it into Modo. Aha! You can. Great. Yep. So you can export that image map. This is a different one that I had in the background. And then import it as an environment map in Modo.
So when we render a crate in the model, do we get rid of the surface ID option?
Yeah. Change it to final color. Yeah. Got it. All right. So there's two things that you're going to be building this week. A crate. Okay. Just try to make it as realistic as you can, given what you've experienced. Or don't make it have it look realistic. Just have fun with this. Get used to the process of working inside of Substance Paint. Okay? It takes a good couple models for folks to get comfortable with this stuff. I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, this is similar, but it's weird, and it's awesome, and I want to learn it, so I'm going to have to kind of push through it. Okay? And then, when you're done, I have a wine barrel here. Okay, same idea. I've given you the model file down here, and inside the zipped archive for the wine barrel is the same type of thing, but it's already exported from Modo. These are just the FBXs, so you're ready to rock and roll pretty quickly with the wine barrel. Okay, we'll talk about these wine barrels again in the future and why there's a high res one and a low res one. We're not going to have enough time for it today, so I'm not going to go too much further. However, what I would encourage you to do, okay, is explore the playlist that the crew down at Algorithmic have created for us, okay? Like in all seriousness, this is a master class on how to use Substance Painter. It's very well presented. It's very well, detailed. They do a fantastic job. One of the things they talk about is the Bacon engine, in which you can use high-resolution geometry and apply normal map and a whole bunch of other stuff to low-resolution geometry. It's neat. I would encourage you to check it out on your own. It's pretty great. I think somewhere, and they may even say in this really long, wonderful playlist, where you can go to download the exact same assets that they're using. So if you wanted to follow along, they have all that stuff in there too. I think probably one of the things that Algorithmic has going for them is that they're pretty committed to learning resources. There's a lot of info from the source, from the exports on how all this works. Okay, you're gonna love it. Okay, you're gonna love it. I want you guys to become as addicted to it as I am. I'm still learning leaps and bounds about Substance Painter, and I've only communicated about 2% of what I know, and I feel like I only know 25% of what's in the application. It's a cool app. It's pretty rad. All right. So you're gonna make a texture set for a crate and a wine barrel. When you're done with both of those, and here's the thing, I want you to make a Modo render of them. Okay. So all of this at the end of the day is gonna end up back here in Modo, and you're gonna need to make a render. Okay, an image. When you're finished with both of these assignments, submit the textures that you created. So there's going to be 5 textures for the crate, 5 textures for the wine barrel, and its respective Modo render to the drop boxes on Canvas. Okay? Make sense? Everyone kind of feel it, understand? One thing, yeah, question.
You have to like submit the textures in like a separate folder.
You could, yeah. I'll let you kind of figure it out. Yeah. One thing, please pay really close attention to the, let me go back to it here, apologize. Okay, so one of the things that I'm changing going forward in all of my classes are the render sizes, okay? Gone are the days of 1280 by 720, okay? We are now in the UHD world, so we're taking a baby step closer to UHD. This is not the UHD resolution, this is 1080p. But we need to start producing bigger images, okay? So we're going to be rendering everything at 1080, okay? 1920 by 1080, okay? This is something that you're going to have to go into Modo and change. Does anyone remember how to change the render settings in Modo?
If you go into the render, if you go into render, there's an item in the render menu, literally means render with a ball.
Yep, purple sphere. Yep.
Sphere. And then the second group named strain is for
That's it. You got it. So 1920, 1910, 1920, 1080. We'll get a nice rectangular image. Render, we're on our way. You're going to find that these images, or the models, are going to render a little bit faster because it's not relying upon Modo's physically based rendering setting or render engine to produce all of these effects. You're going to get a little bump in speed, which is kind of cool. Yes, ma'am. Yep. So the question was, say I have a picture that I've downloaded from somewhere and I want to use it inside of Substance Painter in one capacity or another. Go into your project section and you should be able to drag and drop textures and resources into this area. Just texture. Yep.
And then can we import a resource to the current session or project PBR?
Yeah, you can do, if you do project, it's going to be saved inside that SPP, Substance Painter project file. If it's just current session, the moment you close Substance Painter, that's going to go. I know that there's there's a lot going on in Substance Painter. Okay, today was really designed to serve as a nice, simple little introduction. If you have questions, reach out to the entire Substance Painter community as well as myself. It's a really, really active community. It's a big community. It's growing by leaps and bounds. One of the things that I would, if you want to know more about this, just go check out Algorithmic's YouTube channel. It's pretty stellar. They just finished something that I'm going through.
The big fight deal from Pizza Hut. 2 large 2-topping pizzas plus breadsticks, all for just $19.99.
Okay. If you're curious as to what kind of basically every video game. Another thing to check out, let you guys look at this on your own time, is check out the Substance Days. They just finished this up. This is like their annual kind of show, and they had industry professionals from all walks of life coming in, giving these wonderful presentations on how they're using the Substance products inside their workflow. It's really neat. It's really neat. This is kind of one of the things that's a hallmark of a professional is participating in these events. I'm so happy that many of them are streamed to YouTube or find their way on YouTube. For a while, you had to go to LA, and now you can watch it from afar, which is pretty cool. So check it out. There's a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Okay, questions on what we're going to be doing this week. So 2 different assignments. The crate, you can bang that out one pretty fast, and then a wine barrel. Yes, sir.
Matt, can you put up what you link together in the material section on the screen?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the only one that's kind of odd is the metallic. Yeah, metallic from Substance is going to be linked to the specular amount channel here in Moto.
Which setting did you say export for?
PBR metallic rough.
I did, I got completely different.
What did you get?
PBR spectrum. Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out how to get a wood texture into
Okay. Now, one of the things that I would encourage you to look at, Liam, are the smart materials down here. Under smart materials, there's some really good building blocks. Wood walnut, wood chest, wood beech veined. Check those out. That's a good starting point. FYI, I just... Huh? Great. FYI, this tank painted one, that is worth its weight in gold. For all things metal. Because you can go in and change all the colors and stuff. And if you want just like a rock solid, like instant exterior metal paint with some like damage and stuff on it, that's an awesome, awesome preset. Yeah. There's the cool thing about all these materials, all these substance materials and smart materials, is that they're a starting point. You can go in and change all their properties once they've been applied and customize it to whatever it is that you're doing.
how? I'm just trying to get it to. I tried having a layer. And
Yeah, drag it on above. See, right there. Boom. Why is it green? Yeah. Let's figure out why it's green.
Is that one of the green stones?
Here, let's do this. Let's start with a new project file.
so new project.
You got it. So this is select template. We are down right there. Cool. And then this change the normal map format to jail. Okay. Oh, this is our problem right here. Okay, so go back over to Moto. You need to export the FBX from Moto.
Yes.
Right. That's the step you missed. That's probably why it's green.
Now, so.
Yep.
Okay. From
Open up your crate project in Moto. So, right click. Export selected layers. And then format, Moto scene, let's change it. Let's from Moto C to FBX. First one, Autodesk FBX. There you go. And what I also do is I click just layers. Cool. Give it a name and a destination. Good. Okay, now, okay. Back over here to Substance Painter. File. New. Yes. Yep, you're on the right track. What template did we use before? That's the one. Perfect. Grab our mesh, the new FBX. Good. No, you have to do that too. That's good. Okay. Boom. That's it. Alrighty, folks, we got about 10 minutes left in class. Let's use this time wisely. I'll answer questions and then I'll see you guys next Friday. Hey.
So we're going to send this up earlier, and all the areas kind of set.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm trying that again.
Okay. And let's see what we've done. Okay. Now, here's what I would recommend. Okay. You're working with the version of the PreReq product file that has a bug in it.
It is still.
Yeah. Yeah, I uploaded it while we were in class where I changed it.
Oh, did we? I might need to refresh it.
That. Just on the. Yep. Okay. So this. That's the old one. That one. This is the new one. Right. This is the one where it's export it.
Yeah.
Layers. Let's do this. Stop. Overwrite the FBX you had before. Place. Okay. Okay. Now, really, you have to go back to the
Yeah.
Because look here in the old one, so like 3 different texture sets. You don't want that. We just want file layers. Let's say. Okay, there it is. Oh, wait.
Because this was the refresh page. So we must
Maybe.
have
Maybe I put the wrong one. Ah. So this is 2. This is the one that I just saved out. I put the wrong one.
oh, the top office.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're hiring now.
Oh, wait. I think I hear finally understand. You didn't refresh the page.
Yes. That's what I would say.
I'm sorry. Okay. Now, download that. Do it all again. Question? Oh, yeah. If you need a permission number for FileMail, give permission numbers. Let's do that real fast.
One last question before I leave.
Hey, Gary, would you mind hitting the lights on your way out?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
If we need to go back and look at this for future reference, where can we
It
find?
is online right now. So, oops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
remember
gonna
you would
stop.
make those videos on Canvas, and those
Yeah.
are really helpful.
Yeah. So I just live streamed all of this. I'm still live streaming it all to YouTube.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's actually still going. Let me actually go in and